Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we have hit day 185 of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. The big news in terms of territorial changes is appear to be occurring around the key city of Donetsk. It appears as of right now that Russian forces have broke Ukrainian lines near the town of Pisky, and that is right here. There has been continued reports over the last a day or two that Russian forces have been raising flags in the town center of Pisky, and they continue to advance in a north by northwesterly direction within the vicinity of Donetsk. It's fairly interesting to see that it has taken this long for Russian forces and Russian separatist forces to push due west of Donetsk city. I got to tell you, at the start of this conflict, I would have just assumed that the Russians would have pushed this area, this line of control, back quite possibly tens of miles or dozens and dozens of kilometers west of Donetsk city. It's interesting to see it's taken this long for Russian forces to push either west or northwest near the Donetsk International Airport. Apparently, there have been some rather stiff resistance in this area. The Ukrainians have built up their force posture quite a bit over the last several years. They have multiple lines of defensive preparations in this area, so it'll be interesting to see if the Russians continue to push in this area. We're going to back out a little bit and we're going to look at some other locations. We're also going to look down, obviously, south in the area near Crimea. There has been reports over the last several days that Russian forces continue to strengthen its position both in and around Crimea and in the Kherson area of operation in this locale on the western footprint that they control on the western bank of the Dnieper River. But more importantly, we continue to see reports of Russian tanks, armored infantry fighting vehicles, heavy artillery being transported over the Kerch Strait bridge in this area. So the question is what are the Russians looking to do now, especially as they continue to strengthen their posture within the Crimea area of operations. Furthermore, we're continuing to hear a lot of rhetoric from the Ukrainian political apparatus, especially Zelensky, president of Ukraine, continuing to declare that the war will continue until they liberate the Crimean Peninsula. Is that a wise choice of words or proclamation to make given the situation on the ground? Does anybody believe that the Russian Federation is going to rehand over the Crimean Peninsula to the Ukrainians? And I would have to say that, in all probability, we would first see the deployment of quite possibly tactical nuclear weapons before the Russians hand over the Crimean Peninsula. I just do not see that as any sort of reasonable goal that Ukrainian forces should be focused on at this point. The likelihood of the war continuing until the Ukrainian forces take the Crimean Peninsula, I would have to say, are slim to none. And does that sort of rhetoric help the ongoing situation in terms of eventual outcomes, in terms of resolving the conflict through a political dialogue? Now, with that being said, any sort of political dialogue ending the conflict looks incredibly remote right now. It's not even on the not even a remote possibility at this point in terms of both sides positioning and posture to the ongoing conflict. But the concept that the Ukrainians, one, could militarily secure the Crimea, I would say is highly doubtful. I think you would have to see some sort of change within the Russian political system to even start considering the return of Crimea to the Ukrainians. And and then the question is the Crimea legitimately part of Ukraine? And I don't think that has actually been decided yet. I think we saw an incredibly hasty decision in the post-Soviet breakup of the Soviet Union, which handed over the Crimean Peninsula to the Ukrainians. I understand it was Nikita Khrushchev handed over the Crimean Peninsula many decades ago. And was that a wise decision? At the time, no one would have even thought about the possibility of a collapse of the Soviet Union, so it was not a very big issue. But now, in the time that we are living, it is a big issue, and I think Russia does have a claim on Crimea, as do the Ukrainians as well, and that's why we've kind of eventually we have seen where we are now in terms of the military process taking over the political process, especially in terms of Crimea and other areas in Ukraine. But again, we're watching very closely this continued buildup of Russian forces coming out of Russia proper into Crimea, which obviously many Russians would consider Russia proper as well. But again, continued force flows into the Crimea and then ultimately towards the front line, quite possibly in the south. A westerly direction near Kherson. We'll continue to monitor, report, and bring you more content for your consumption. Thanks for joining us today, and always have a good day.